Well, Happy New Year 2021. What are we in now? 2021? 2020 is behind us. Congrats to everybody who made it. Rough year. So whatever you do to get through that last year, buckle up. You're ready to do it again. This is episode 31 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Again, available on TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Everywhere podcasts available. Newly available on Audible. Let me know if people listening on Audible and give me some feedback if everything is good there. And of course on the Cadence Club link, which I'll send out every week. And the guys at Cadence Club, Kevin Farrick and Tony Chumley, they're trying to outwork me. I don't like it. But them fellas say they're doing new updates every week. And the update they're going at now is what they call an Instagram IG calculator. And I don't know what it is, but it's sounding good. And as soon as I find out more about it and it's available in the Cadence Club, I'll share it and post it and stuff. The idea behind the Cadence Club is really to help influencers. It's helped me a lot. So I know it will be something that helps you with your engagement and to figure out how well your page doing overall, the performance of your page. I'm learning the hard way that social media is an important part of what you do. I really just want to get a mic and come here and talk. But the social media part is a critical part of it. So again, check out for the guys on Cadence Club. New updates coming every Tuesday. So I hope everybody had a good end of year, a good Christmas, a good roll into the new year. I was trying to gauge over the Christmas period. Now, I went easy on the episodes, so I have plenty to talk about today because I didn't do much in terms of episodes over the Christmas period. I didn't want to talk too much about politics and things, but I ain't missed them. So it's here to talk about now. But I was trying to gauge over the Christmas time due to all the things that happened in 2020. And as rough a year as it was, how the shopping was going to go, if people was going to shop the same. And I see two things that was real different. Gulf City, Long Circular Mall, Trinity Mall, and them had traffic, but it wasn't like the years before. So it was still struggle for park. But let me give you Gulf City. When I went Gulf City, I drive through the mall like Christmas Eve day or the day before Christmas Eve or something. That is not something that you could do on any given year. Usually when I go Gulf City during the Christmas period, I would park, if people know South, on Coconut Drive side, up in Gulf View side, and walk over to the mall because it didn't make sense even trying to go on that link road. If you're from St. James or you're from town, you know what Long Circular Mall is be like Christmas time and what West Mall is be like Christmas time. Sometimes you had to park on the road and walk in. It wasn't like that. So definitely, I think people spend a little less money. I don't know how to gauge that because part of it might be shopping online. But even the shopping online was mayhem. I don't know what's the experience you all having. I like my Skybox people. They usually do a good job. And the charges between them and customs, it usually a little predictable and reasonable. But boy, it's a different ball game this Christmas. You try to order stuff in time for Christmas. I order stuff for Christmas that's still not here yet. All I see in the thing saying is in transit to destination country, and some of it's held in customs or delayed in customs. That's all I'm seeing. And the charges, I don't know if Ole had this experience, but the charges, they're crazy. I don't know how they're revaluing the item to what they feel is the price. I think they within their right to do that. I suppose you could challenge it too, but boy, I don't even know if it worth it. Because if things moving so slow, I assume that customs moving on some sort of rotating schedule due to COVID and so on, but so imagine you going and query something, how long it would take to get to talk to somebody there. But boy, maybe this is the way of slowing people down from ordering online too much and protecting the little forex. But this Christmas would be a different one for sure. And my last episode for the last year was really talking to Neola about how difficult some seasons could be. And she said something that has stood out to me. So if you didn't get a chance, go and check out episode 30. I think that was 29. Bar Humbug was the name of the episode. She was talking about New Year's resolutions. Now, as a man coming into this new year, somewhere around November time, I start planning for what I want to accomplish next year and looking back at what I did in the year that we're in. This might be the first year in a long time that didn't happen because I didn't even know when it was November, to be honest. With COVID, who knows what date it is and things. It's a strange time. But what I found is that when she said that measuring your life by calendar days might be putting a lot of pressure on yourself. Although as a man, like a little resolution, I like to say what I'm going to try to do, what I'm going to attempt to do. I don't know how much of it is accomplished, but I feel like once I put them together and I write it down, it's have me in a gear, like kind of guided along the right path for the next year. Now, I rethinking that whole thing, to be honest. If you talk to me 2 weeks ago as a real resolutions man, you know, I go and tell you what I'm gonna do, and I break it down by fitness and financial goals and work goals and education, and I like a resolution bad. And when she spoke about not, in other words, she's trying to say is tomorrow's another day. Don't put pressure on the date because life don't work around no dates and no New Year's and thing. So I started to pay a little more attention to it. And you know what I realized? Like just reflecting on New Year's Day, we had a little bit of for business for us is closed off just before Christmas for 2 weeks, right? So we only start back to work on Monday of this week. And I find it kind of anticlimactic. I was saying the same thing about Christmas Day. You know, you gear yourself up for this New Year's and this and that. But the reality is after all the fireworks and the couple sips you take and whatever you do and the promise and the hope of the new year, the reality is he's go to sleep and he's wake up in the morning and nothing really change. So the New Year, new meeting. I never really like the New Year, new meeting too much now, but I like the same old me with some new goals. But I think I want to take new advice and just take it a little easier on myself, especially because we have an expectation, I think collectively, of 2021 that COVID was 2020. So 2021 going to be better. I don't know. And he's been talking about new strain and new, more harsh lockdowns coming down in some different countries. And like I said in the last time, I was looking at China and watching that thing. I was talking about this in the last episode and it looked so foreign to what would have happened in Trinidad. It looked like that's something that could never happen. So when I hear new strain and more harsh lockdowns, in my mind, I kind of done prepared myself to see what our harsh lockdowns will look like. I feel we're still in harsh lockdown stages because, I mean, the up to now, the borders still not open. But we'll talk about that in a little while. But this year for the podcast, let me start there. We have some new things in store. This thing is much more than I bargained for, to be honest. I like I always say, I try and do this thing and I like podcasts myself. I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I say, you know what? We need something on the local landscape and I just doing what a lot of podcasts out there do, just talk about the current issues and that kind of thing. And the feedback and support that I've gotten over the last 6 months, I think I started in June, was overwhelming. And the advice and the guidance, it's overwhelming. Like people coming out to the woodworks and just saying, hey, try this. And when I say people, I'm talking about experts, people who know what they're doing and are fumbling. That's why I say I can't let Kevin and them fellas outwork me. But due to all the feedback and all the support and the suggestions I've been getting, I have some things in store in terms of the way this podcast presented, and I'll leave it for when it comes, right? It's not definitely, this like growth is outside your comfort zone. It is not in my comfort zone, but I'm going for it. So I hope you'll give me feedback and tell me if you like it or if I need to make changes. I am going to dive into more topics. I enjoy the conversations a lot more than I thought. When I did conversations initially, my goal was to talk to like family members and just people who I find interesting. But I realized the people who I find interested not always interested in talking. They're interested in coming in a podcast. Them just interested home, you know what I mean? But when I hear, the more I hear stories, and it's especially those things resonate with my family members. Like I learn a lot about my sister. I have another family member who I've lined up to talk to that his life is intriguing to me. So I want to be able to ask him questions in a format like this. And I'm happy that people like it, but it's so entertaining and edifying for me. But where I found real value in the conversations is in meeting more people who are professionals in the field. So I'm going to do a lot more of that this year, and I'm going to broaden the amount of topics we talk about. I know I have Neola who talks about mental health, and I have a few more people to talk about mental health as well. But there's some other areas of well-being that I want to continue doing as part of conversations, and I will introduce those as I go along. I have a real good topic already planned for Friday. They're going to talk about financial well-being. And I'm not being so well with the financial part. So you'll hear that conversation. Check that out Friday morning. That's with Nick Dean. I think you'll enjoy that. If you're anything like me, no matter where you are, finances are a big part of all our lives. So I would suggest that you take that in. And of course, I'm open to suggestions. Anybody else? I'm trying to see if I could talk to a medical doctor as well. That I don't have lined up yet. Like I don't have a medical doctor to talk to, but I feel like it will be useful. So changing directions with conversations a little bit to include people who are professionals in the field and just put information out there that, I mean, firstly, selfishly useful to me, but hopefully, somebody else always going through the things you're going through. So if I could share my experiences and get some professional advice or tips or pointers and it could help you, I open to doing that. I really enjoy doing that. And if you have any other topics that you want to hear about, feel free, send an email. You could email me at corey.shepherd@gmail.com. I will get the podcast email address right? But for now, it's corey.shepherd@gmail.com, or you could follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. It's just the Corey Shepherd Podcast. And direct message me there, or just let me know. Any direction you feel I should go in, I'll be happy to oblige. So what we missed out over the Christmas period, I saw, and I take everything out of me not to come and talk about this, but I say, you know what, let me enjoy my Christmas and let people enjoy the Christmas and leave the couture for later. So this is officially later. So one of the biggest stories over the last few weeks during Christmas there was the fact that the doctor, when you say the doctor a long time is Eric Williams, no, but now the doctor, you know who's the doc, right? The doc daughter came into the country on an exemption, right? It's one of the better things I've seen. It's one of the better stories I see overall. It is a very, very Trinidadian story. So the reality, the story was that early, when he did the lockdown come March, was when they closed the borders, or late March, early April or something like that. And the borders have been closed since then. And I remember how adamant, and I remember saying it on this podcast too, like, why are you like desk thumping and saying the borders are closed and oh boy, and it become a real PNM narrative. Anybody who's a real PNM supporter, they real like to tell you the borders closed and people have to understand and it's a different time and this and that. And in the midst of all that, he said, even my daughter is out of the country and I care. And I feel for the man. I say, boy, that ain't easy. I said, that ain't easy, a daughter. And I remember him talking about having a COVID funeral for his brother, where, I mean, and any other, as a prime minister brother dies, a big funeral on any other day. And he had to go and do 10 people in a funeral, you had to follow the rules that you make. And more so, do the right thing for what was best for the country, given the thing we're going through, given this new pandemic. And the fact that nobody know what to do except separate themselves from one another, it seems like, especially at that time. We had not much information. If I remember right, when his brother passed and he had the funeral, we wasn't even wearing masks yet. So it was a different time. We didn't know what it was. And I remember him saying his own daughter abroad. I remember it sounding sad to me, but I remember also thinking, hey, you're the prime minister. If your daughter wants to come, she will come. Well, sure enough, she come and her husband come, and they're saying that rumor have it that friends came and all that too. Now, I have spoken about the borders being closed, and my stance, just to be clear, is that you could close the borders all you want. But countries that are closing their borders and not letting their citizens come home, the government of those countries, wait, have Hague, it's no public court and international thing that they could bring people up. What they have? Because that is not right. That is not right. I want to put it on record as well that I do not believe in borders at all. That's a different conversation, right? But you see the idea that I could be from Guyana and I can't cross across so because so is Suriname. I do not understand that. It might be, I'm not the brightest fella I don't understand things like that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. You see, we live on an island, if you want to call that a separate place, all right. But don't tell me that when you live in Mexico, you can't walk up the road because that is our next country and you need permission from a man to walk on the same land that you born on because somebody decide that past this point is America and past this point is Mexico. I don't believe in that at all. And I believe that maybe, I don't know if we will live to see it, but that whole system of borders will go, that will crumble. It is man-made, it is contrived, it is futile and useless to me. I don't believe in it. As a matter of fact, my Wi-Fi password is one world. Well, my Wi-Fi password used to be one world. Wi-Fi, why did I say it? But I don't believe in it. So imagine me trying to come to terms with somebody who could decide on their own accord without, with nothing else. No special majority, no referendum, no nothing. You could decide on one day that the border closed. Now, and when I say the border closed to citizens or closed at all. So nobody can come in the airport. We have an immigration or issue with what's happening between Trinidad and Venezuela, which, I mean, I understand that that's hard to control, so people coming in and out anyway. But the fact that you have citizens abroad that cannot come home is a travesty. I talked about it the last time, and then they say the old lady, she against PNM and this and that. And I saw an article in the Newsday today that Paolo Kernahan wrote. And I like Paolo's 3 points. You know, Paolo had 3 points about the border being closed. But the third point is the one I want to talk about more than any of the other two. He said there's a kind of vitriol by people who support, I don't want to say support the PNM, but support the idea of the border being closed. Because they have some people who genuinely believe that because COVID is a major threat and is life-threatening and it could overwhelm the healthcare system, they support the border being closed, right? The way people act on Facebook and on social media and in WhatsApp groups, almost as if they're against people who are out of the country and trying to come in. In other words, regardless of what your circumstances are out of the country, you're supposed to understand that I don't want to be exposed to COVID and you stay where you are. You okay? Government go and send out $500 for your timing. And I hold on to that point, you know, because I like that. I like that it was said, and I like that it was said by Paolo Kernahan, who I always find he's a man, he anti everything. I don't think I ever see Paolo Kernahan write a happy, upbeat, positive. Even when he doing that, he being sarcastic. But I was glad that somebody with his reputation, he's a established journalist for a long, long time. But I'm glad somebody said it, because we, as citizens, I don't know when we get so self-righteous and so aloof and so, for a novel virus, a lot of people become experts in a short space of time, but the doctors who don't know and not sure what happening seem to be on the same even field with everybody else who read up on it in the last 6 months. I guess everybody's starting from scratch, I suppose. So we's doctors and we know as much as the doctors know, but we know that the best thing to do is to close off. But as I was telling our partner today, I'm putting it to anybody, everybody who have them opinions about how COVID is to be managed and what people doing and if the borders should be open. All you do things to put everybody else at risk already. I don't care what nobody tell me. All you had Lime home. All you went wedding, especially me. All you do things to put people at risk. It's human nature. Because I telling somebody today, to me, like strangers, it smell like COVID, but familiar people and friends, it smell like roses to me, like they immune, like them don't get the vaccine already. I'm being real. When I among people who I know, I'm not as worried as when I'm among people who I don't know. And that is irrational. That don't make no sense, because anybody could have COVID and you don't know who the people who you're familiar with, who they are wrong when the day comes. So I understand that's irrational and don't make sense. But what I want to say is, come off we high horses a little bit. Let's put our feet on the ground and stop looking at everybody else with this tone that you're supposed to understand the border. Because it's almost like when them things come up now, somebody saying, so how you end up out of the country and you know the borders was good and closed. I see the right article about that fellow the other day. The man said his business was running and saying he know it was a risk because he see countries closing their borders. But the man had a deal going through, so he went to New York. I don't know how that could be so unreasonable. Like, we can't understand that at all. The man went to New York to try to seal up a deal like all of us would have done in normal life if we had an opportunity. But because the borders were closed the week or two after he leave, he can't come back home up to now, from March up to today. So while I hear the doc on the tears, my mother is always telling me crocodile tears about your daughter being abroad. Now your daughter home. But they have so many people, and I want to call names, because I talk to people and I ask people to come on this podcast to talk about their experience while they're abroad. And I'm glad that this is the response I got. A lot of them said, I want to talk about it in Korea and I don't mind coming on your platform and everything, but my plan is to sue the government, so I don't want to go and talk about it before. And I think it's the right thing to do. It is not right for no government to be able to tell people, you just can't come home. And it close to me now. Because I have a partner from back in the day, I don't want to call his name. This man living, he not from Trinidad, right? He from Trinidad, but he not living in Trinidad. But the country he living in, the borders closed. And this man's wife was abroad. This man now married and them thing, you know what I mean? It's not to say he married 30, 40 years where you done fed up with your wife and you're glad for she to close. Because to be honest with you, if I was fired, right, between me and you, and, the border closed, I would have say I apply for exemption. No, I'm not just joking, but I might, who knows? I might have say I apply for exemption. I just breeze wherever I is, I just take some time off, some well-needed time off. But I ain't all of that get fed up. After a while, I take a month or 2, 3, 4, 5. But after a while, you want to come home. Your home is your home. Where you get married for if you didn't want to be married. So when I saw something he post this week here, talking about as a man, how much he misses his wife, his family gets separated. He don't understand. It is not fair. It's not reasonable. And so much has been advancing in terms of COVID. So for instance, people having sports thing in a bubble. People doing, use Joe Rogan podcast as an example. He's just test everybody and he doing his podcast as normal. Couple times a week he have guests in person. Dave Chappelle doing comedy shows. Some people partying and things, especially in the States. I mean, Trinidad is bad talk the partying here, but I mean, in the States, like people in care. I see Tony Matteron on Instagram live, and he basically say, hey, we partying and things, and if you want to bad talk, you yourself, you home, you never went no party and you still get COVID. So while all this happened in the world, his plight is that you just separate, and I mean, it's not that it's personal, of course, but the effect of the lockdown is that you separate me from my wife, and is hard. I'm sure it would be difficult, not only from the standpoint of you want to be with your wife, you want to have your family together and thing, but finances, all them things hard to figure out, and who working, and I mean, I don't know the nuts and bolts of what you're going through, but it had to be a very, very difficult thing. That my next partner, I won't call his name neither, this man brother abroad, gone to work, and he been working. He ain't stopped working since because he just can't come home and you have your family, you have your children and think about your FaceTime with your children, boy. Like we talking about it the other day and I saying, when you come home now after, think of being abroad for what's starting to go towards a year now. And think of having very young children where a year in their development is a lifetime. Some of the most critical parts of their life happening in the space of 12 months as they develop. But you coming home a stranger. Your children don't know you. You not like, you know what I mean? You understand what I mean when I say they don't know you? You starting over. You gotta get to know your wife again to an extent. And no knock on it or anything, but in a serious way, your household, you gotta get to know your household. You gotta get back in a routine. And I don't understand. It's like the answers that we getting for it, they're not reasonable. And the fella talking about who wife abroad, he's a lawyer too, eh? So, I mean, when I get a response that people looking to sue the government, no, he didn't respond and say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that come in. Because I don't see how it could be right. If you're a citizen of a country, I don't believe in no country buying you entry to the country already, but on top of that, the country where you're born in, the land where you're birth, where I pay all my taxes here. Think of this, if I stuck abroad and my salary running in this country still, if I'm fortunate and lucky enough to be getting paid still, my employer still deducting tax, you know. And then you're telling me about overwhelming the healthcare system, me who here paying tax to go in that same institution. So the people, everybody who, thankfully we have an approach where it's a public sector thing. I think everybody in the world doing that. So anybody who get COVID, they could go to, you're being managed by a public healthcare system. But I pay my taxes towards that system, and your statement to me is stay where I am. Figure myself out there. I don't know if where I am, if I get tested positive for COVID, if I will be treated for free or if I had to pay a bill. It don't seem as though anybody concerned. And the reason I say it don't seem as though anybody concerned is because of the approach by the government and the doc himself and the Stuart Youngs and the Faris Al-Rawi in the early days, and the Terence, what the man named Terence Hines? What was the Minister of Health name? Terence D.L. Singh. Who's Terence Hines? Their thing is like, our borders are closed. And this is you don't understand what it means when they say the borders closed. It's so you're unsympathetic, you're showing no kind of understanding, it don't matter what it is. And let me say this too, because I don't like when I talk about these things because I start to get labeled as anti-government or anti-opposition. Every week I anti somebody else. I agree with the daughter being given an exemption. I don't have no problem with that. What does Orwell say? Orwell say all animals are created equal, but some created more equal than others. I buy that 100%. Everybody don't have the same level of importance. So when people was making fuss about Derek Chin being able to come back home because he ran taxi for somebody in the Bahamas, the lady was sick and he ran a taxi. What you would do if you had a private jet and you wanted to come home and you in your latter retirement years, your son running the business and doing great, what you would do? I want to know what all the people who were saying, look, Derek Chin, come on. I want to know if you would not use it because Trinidad and Tobago is the land of who you know and who know you and get through at other people's expense. That's our culture. That's what we do. As I always tell people, I go know this country change and people not selfish here again. When all of us line up in a line, like by immigration and them thing, or a super farm or in the grocery, and a new cashier open, and people just simply tell the person who's second in line, so look at cashier open. You're waiting longer than you've been waiting. Let's all go across there in order and queue up. That ain't happening in this country. You know what's happened? The people from the back of the line is pell-mell to reach the front of the fresh line. So they don't care that there are two people behind there waiting for half hour and them not reach their 5 minutes. Everybody care about getting through for themselves. So I don't want to hear nobody who vexed with Derek Chin. And you go and get your own private jet and go and quarantine for yourself. If you're vexed, you should probably get your own private jet and pass for some sick people on the way home. It's clearly available to you as a route to come home. So sort that out. So you see the idea that everybody equal, I don't, that everybody not equal. The daughter of a diplomat or a prime minister or a minister, the family of a minister and those things, we already accept that too, because we pull aside in traffic when them fellas driving, we let them get police escorts all day. They're important. These people are important. They have a reason people named VIP and named diplomats and them kind of things. So as far as I'm concerned, the daughter could have come home in March for all I care. I don't care. You bring your daughter home, just do the right thing, or you try and quarantine or whatsoever is the best thing for you to do so that if she happens to, God forbid, have COVID, you as the prime minister don't have it, and or in addition to that become a spreader within the government. That is real dangerous times we're talking about now. If in the midst at the beginning of the pandemic in Trinidad, our whole cabinet gets sick, that is real worries. And the media and all that. Well, I have no problem. You get your daughter the exemption, man. And all you, I don't care. All you. Everybody who watch children abroad, let them come and go. They say rumors again. They say Faris family coming and going. Come and go, man. That is minister family. Me, no problem with that. Gary Griffith make a run and he come back. That's all good. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the fact that I could be stuck abroad and have no way of knowing how I come in. Not a date, not a process, not something that tells me. Even when you call Caribbean Airlines, who are the longest waiting thing, when you call them and they say, you are calling number 6,000, you'll be on the line for 48 hours. At least them men telling you could check back your phone in 2 days and come back and they will pick up. But this thing where you get an automatic, this is what the feedback I get. Now, if your story different from mine, let me know. The feedback I get is that people who send a letter get automated response to the email and then haven't heard anything since. And then when they send subsequent emails, they don't even get an automated response. That's why I hear it from multiple people who are abroad. Now, I don't know how that could be right. I don't know how that could be comforting. I don't know, that must be stressing people out, because you basically treated me like, I accepting that let me put it in my own words. I accepting that you as the doc and the minister and the this and the that and the CMO, you're more important than me. Certainly to this pandemic, but probably in general, you're important. I accepting that. But what you're telling me by not giving me a date at all or nothing is telling me that I have no worth or no value at all. The only value it have is to your reputation in the management of this pandemic, which I believe is the first and foremost thing long before. There's my belief. My belief is that the reputation of the party in power is more important than even the protection of the people. But who knows? Secondly, everybody else's life in Trinidad important because nobody don't want to spread of COVID, and the healthcare system important, and I's the last in command because you don't care what I have in life, what I have going on in life, what issues I dealing with. I married my wife abroad. I married my children home. I lost my job over there. I had a rig in Mexico. Remember that? And I stuck because the company, you know what I mean? And I that's it. Borders closed. Figure your life out. You ain't care if I running out of money. So what is? How that could be? And this is the problem I have. If you have those things in place for me, you could let your daughter come and go how much ever your mama send Caribbean Airlines so she could come on the plane empty so she ain't get nothing. Let her fly herself too. Let her get direct chin plane and come home. It does not matter to me. That's how I never did. Let me put it this way. His daughter and her husband not spreading nothing in the rest of the country because them going from plane to police escort to home, diplomatic center. It's a room for thousands of people to social distance inside there. So they're not going to spread nothing. I have no issue with them coming and going. What I have an issue with is they have no clear process because the Minister of Health, what name? Terrence Hines? Who's Terrence Hines? The Minister of Health come out and say the other day that it was never first come, first served. And in this age of social media, somebody quickly post something saying where he was referring to a first come, first served system in terms of application. And just like everything else in this country, it have no clear process as to how you get through with this, that, or the third. Because we like a process that a little bit ambiguous and have room to manipulate because we like corruption. We like that one person could get through ahead of the next person. But we only like it if I as the person getting through ahead of the next person. You see, if it was your daughter or your son and your thing, you wouldn't have said nothing. You would have bring home your son quiet and your daughter quiet and your wife, concubine, children, outside children, everybody was coming home by you for Christmas. And that would not be no news story. You was getting through with that. And if you pass your money to get your thing or you know somebody and you get through, we would have never hear about that. So, I mean, people can't tell me too much about that because that's just who we are as a society. So when they vex with the daughter, me vex. What I vex for is Joe Schmo like me who don't know nobody and don't have no money to pay nobody nothing to come in. I don't have a private jet to pick up nobody nowhere. The most I could ask for is a clear process. When I think, tell me, listen, you are the 400,000 person to apply and we have estimated the people coming in of about 100 people a week. So that puts you a year and a half away from being able to come in. If things change and people drop off the list, we'll expedite it. You are important to us. You are a citizen. We love you. Put that on all anything. We love you. You're Trini. We want you to come home and we want you to be safe where you are. And because you're over a year and a half, what we'll do for you is XYZ. I don't understand why. That might be real hard to do in March or April or May or June or July or August. But come on, in January of the next year, 2 months from now, it's going to be a full year since the border closed. If your system was a mess and the border had stayed closed for 2 months, nobody would not be complaining. Everybody done back home and doing what they're doing already. But your system is a mess because people not even getting responses as to. So I can't plan my life. I can't see, you know what I mean? Look at what I had to do with my children concerned. Look at my life. What's the things I had going on? What's the things I plan to do? I can't do none of that. I'm not working where I am. I staying by somebody. The people fed up see me in their house. That's not your concern. The borders are closed. And it's not reasonable. I don't see how it could be right. I don't see how people could support, even if you're a PNM supporter. Forget about party is follow. I don't see how people could support that idea. And I believe, I don't know nothing about the law and thing, but I don't know how it could be lawful to deny a man the right to enter his own country at his own will and his own time. Because if I in this country, I wonder if you commit a crime abroad. That might be an idea. You know, I didn't think the best thing to do might be to just rob a store and let them deport you. I wonder if they could deport people. But anyway, don't do that, right? But my thing is this. You see, diplomats, and I'm calling everybody diplomats. I don't know what's the right term. Government minister, diplomat, ambassador, all them people. All they do all they want. All they come and go, sort out all their thing because all they could quarantine and the kind of houses all they live in, all they have space to quarantine and them kind of thing. All I'm asking for is when they have an application process, separate out the applicants. It has some people who outside because they was working abroad and they finish work and it's time to come home. Like if you're working offshore, like my boy Pablo out the country for how long now? Since he's an offshore worker. All right, say, all right, you was working abroad, that is why you're abroad. I put in you with everybody else who was working abroad. Boom. That's one bucket. You's a student, like my two little brothers. No, one of my little brothers. The next one graduate. I can't tell me a student no more. He go vex. But the next one graduate. He come home. Both of them came home the night the border closed. That might have been the last flight back to Trinidad. Thank God, Daddy. And I know I was the one telling Daddy, I said, boy, you like to panic, eh? I can imagine what it'll be like if the men get stuck over there in school. They have to be sending money for them. They're figuring it out. There's no work to get while they're on campus because campus closed and all that. So, put students in one bucket. Say, right, all these students, all they was abroad because they was studying and so on. Right, good. Now you understand that. You see, man who was on vacation or who went abroad on business, short-term trips, put them in one bucket. Because them men didn't have no plan whatsoever to stay nowhere too long. So maybe they might have similar circumstances like running out of money, having to pay hotel bill, having to stay by somebody for a long time, whatever it might be. Call somebody else, foreign resident. You, a man, don't live in Trinidad. You know you're going to London a long time. You had no intention of coming by. But things get hard over there. With the COVID, you want to come home. You're within your right. You're Trini. But put you in our next bucket. You could deal with you separately. And when you put them people in some different bucket now, do your diplomat thing, or in a bucket by all yourself, well, diplomat family, or come and go now, man, and set a criteria to say, if you come in the country, these are the things that you want. People who working abroad, they obviously was with some kind of company. Things could be worked out there because I'm hearing and seeing where some of the hotels in the country, the offshore workers coming into the hotel, coming from out the country, coming into the hotel for a week, go in helicopter, bam, go on the rig, go on the boat, do the work, go back straight, airport, out. That happening often. And the companies seeing about everything for them. The companies, I mean, if you doing offshore work as an example, COVID is not a Trinidadian thing. You have policies in place for this all over the world and you have workers coming and going all the time. So I would think that you could put the things in place and you have some kind of policy by now because other people write policies and stick to the policies and don't tell you things like the process is not public. The process public, they say if you had to come in the country to do specialized work, bam, 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 and we have that in place. So I could treat people who working abroad differently, people on vacation, and then there must be, because the impression I get when you have no clear process, my first instinct is so that it's corruptible. But my second instinct is that everybody lump into one big batch. So if 10,000 or 20,000 or how much ever people the boss say apply, it's just number 1 to 10,000. It don't seem to have a clear distinction as to different types of circumstances or different types of... It look like you're just at a beg. And if you beg enough and you go live on social media and you think you go eventually come home. Or if Derek Chin's smart enough and he figure out something and he passed for you, well, you're lucky like hell. Imagine what would be her case now if Derek didn't come through with the private jet. So this is all I'm saying. And then you could even now have a different policy now and have a bucket for non-citizens who had to come into the country, people had to come in for business, who had to come in for different things, come in for work, whatever it might be. Or your woman is a Trini, you have a Trinidadian child, it has some people are child in Trinidad, but they're not from here. You could put them in the next bucket too. So you treat people with a different level of priority based on the needs that the people have. But that is not who we are. It's just not who we are. We since the closing of the border was rushed, I understand that. The idea of taking applications for people to come home was rushed, I understand that too. I remember the beginning of this thing when a batch of people, I shouldn't say a batch of people, there are people on a cruise ship who had to go Barbados and chill for a little while. And they eventually got back into the country. I remember cruise ship workers who the boats was just sailing wrong and everybody was taking back their citizens, but Trinidad take them on their own time and eventually they came home, I believe, thank God. But it seems to be like while those things were rushed or had to be put in place or had to be figured out as we go along, it seems as though we still in rush mode. We still in last minute mode. We still in try to figure it out mode. And I don't know if we accepting as policymakers that we saying the word new normal a lot, but like we're not accepting that. So I don't understand if there's a task force, a team, somebody who put together to look at it to say, well, all right, we getting a lot of complaints about the border being closed and this and that. Let's put together some people who could figure out what's the best and most efficient way. I'm not sure if that happening because everybody want to keep the process a secret. It's first come, first serve, but it's not first come, first serve. We had to do better than that. But again, it's really not who we are now. So I don't know when they will open back the borders with bigger countries who are more powerful and have a better healthcare system, I would think. Going into further lockdowns, I ain't seeing when the border go open back. So, I mean, salute to everybody who has families, you're apart, you're struggling, you're abroad, you can't come home. Salute to all of y'all. And, I mean, we had to figure some things out. Like I telling a partner, if I abroad for that long and my family home and thing, at some point, I telling them apply for the exemption. Because it seems like it's a little easier to leave the country than to come back. And if I working abroad and I had the money, I go and say, listen, no, come, yes, come. I can't take this. I go to come up the road in a country that's accepting people, and let's be together there until we could figure out a new normal. So we'll figure it out. But I mean, again, salute to every Trinidadian who are abroad and can't come home. That is a rough thing. I cannot imagine what you're going through. And rally true. Come back when it's time to vote and thing next time, right? Remember your experiences. And when it's voting time, all you come and have all your voice, right? Anyhow, on to the bigger boss. Who's the bigger boss? The Rowlers or the Mae Weekes? who's the bigger boss? The Doc or Paula? Who running things? So the president had what was that? A Merry Christmas wish? Or the end of the year, closing off wish and a happy old years into the New Year's. A toast? What are we doing? So President Paula-Mae Weekes, who I haven't seen in a long time. I thought she was quarantining or something since, she invented quarantining. But she come out to give I'd call it a toast. I don't know what she called it. I don't know what it was. It was just a year-end wrap-up, I suppose. And in the middle of the thing that was going so very presidential, all of a sudden she say, all these sort of selfish zessers and wetters or outright dotishness. I was so shocked. I was shocked to see her because I haven't seen her in a long time. But I was also shocked the choice of language. I think, I just didn't expect the president to say zessers and wessers, to be honest. And it was just an odd thing to hear. So, and, especially because I get hooked on The Crown. Somebody tell me start watching The Crown, right? And it's the slowest thing I ever see. And any chance I get, I try to burn out the monarchy with slave owners and slave drivers and what is called perpetuas? What is called people who's just perpetuating perpetuas? There's perpetuas of the downtrodden in the world being downtrodden while they stay aloof and mighty and have royal blue blood, and the rest of us as commoners. Wait, something like the last topic we were talking about. Yeah, the rest of them is commoners. They could do whatever they want, but they can't be us. But I don't know why I get so hooked on The Crown. I guess I didn't know nothing about it too, to be honest. I realize it now from watching this that I did not know much about the monarchy. Maybe because I take every opportunity to burn them out. So I thought Prince Philip was Elizabeth's son because I learned in school as a queen and a king does make a prince. So I really thought, I had this thing so wrong. I thought Prince Philip was Elizabeth and King George's son. Me realize I have the whole thing all the way wrong. So, I've watched it and I having to Google things while I go along because some of the stories, some of it's interesting in terms of just getting an insight into their life and the way they see the world and thing. And some of it is like plenty current affairs that they cover into, which I like. So they went back to her meeting Jackie Kennedy just before the husband was shot and all those types of things. Some of it, they take some liberties too, they say, so it's not all very real, but the main story in the thing is real. And when I see how proper they behave or try, at least the face they show, it starts to show you what the value of a sovereign or of whether it be a crown monarchy, a president, or whatsoever it is, somebody appointed who is, I don't know what's the word for it, like the head of I'm not sure, I can't even say the head of diplomacy, but like a figurehead for the country. Like, as I'm making all that to say, I find we should have a monarchy here. I find we need to put some kind of thing in place so we could have a royal family. Well, I don't want to use the term royal family now. we have a royal family in South, right? Google them. I can't spend too much time on them. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, but we have a royal family in South. Maybe they might be the place to start. Make them the king and queen of the country. I find like we need a king and queen. And we need a castle, maybe Stolmaier's castle. And people who them just born and use the king. Once you're born, you're going to be the next person who in line to be the king or something. We just need people who is be diplomatic and say proper things regardless of what and put on the public face and thing, because the people who we have in charge, those seem to know how to be proper when the time comes to be proper. One man back in the day decide that everybody else is do address to the nation and sit down and talk in a very presidential tone. He come in a glass. Like if it's Lara Fete all inclusive, he come in a glass to give a toast to the, I mean, they have value in doing the traditional, proper, prim thing. Don't own no slaves, right? We don't want nobody who own no slaves. And we don't want nobody who want to kill the whole country to come up because I guess the monarchy really formed from war and owning territory and thing. We might need that. We don't have much people who fight war here neither. So it's not like we could say, I guess maybe Abu Bakr fight war here. So maybe we could let him be the king. Somebody had to be the king. And them children going to be the king. I could accept that. Because it's not like when you look at the crown, as we might have known already, they're not making any sort of decisions on where the country go. They're rubber stamping a lot and thing, but the presence of a sovereign, I know what word better than sovereign to use is an important thing. We might need one of them. And if the president is that to us, we had to find people who just born, yes, and from the time you're small, you know what it is to be presidential and thing. It shouldn't be no political appointment. Like a man just born and send him the Queen School, what is it, King School, send them the King School one time and let them learn the Constitution. And we had to find a way that because I watch the places, well, it started off when Elizabeth was now going to get, I'm going to mess up all the words in this, and it was coronated. Before the coronation of Elizabeth, right? And her father had died and she was the one who was next in line. And they talk about the brother abdicate the thing. I never hear about that before. I don't know any of these white people. But it was interesting to learn about that. But where I find it started to get real interesting, and this is what hooked me, is seeing how Winston Churchill, who from every history book I ever read or was forced to read, or every story I was ever told, or every highway I drive on where I had to call his name right through, this is very powerful men in their country, well respected in their country, very powerful men. People who, in my opinion, we should never name nothing after. We should be changing the names of all those things. From Queen Street, go right back, but I don't get into that now. There's the next episode. When I see the way this is when Princess Elizabeth came into, I don't even know the right words for this thing, you know. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I'm going to say come into power, but I don't know where it's called the right thing. I want to mess up this whole monarchy thing. I don't know nothing about this. When she came into the queendom, queenship, when she get in charge, when her father died and she was sworn in, she would have been in her early 20s. Let me get the age right. Queen Elizabeth age at coronation. Yeah, they say she's in 1953, and at the age of 25, she take on the thing. Now, you study what you was doing at 25. And if you're 25, study what you're doing now. And imagine being the Queen of England all of a sudden, because your father gone. And, I mean, the thing is, you see where they were well prepped to do this. Eh? So it's not like if she coming in totally blind, but still he is 25 years old. And a man like Winston Churchill, who is on the way, he's a seasoned politician, old man. You see, where he was very, very sick at the last time he was in power. And he coming in and bow to this little girl at 25 years old, and she dressing them down and her men cowering to her. And that's exactly what we need here. We need a monarch. We need a queen or a king. They could be any age. But we need somebody who, rollers and camlers, or whoever is the rollers and camlers of the day, they have to go to every week and get dressed down. Who just, the power is in their position and their title, and they could just dress them down and let them know what time it is from time to time. Because they had one point where they show you Winston Churchill sick, and he ain't tell the queen nothing. And boy, listen, when she started to tell them how disappointed she is in them and she was upset, and this time she must be early 30s by this point, maybe, because that was his second term. This man is bowing and thing, and he can't, yeah, I like that. We need something like that here, so politicians can't just get loose every now and again. You had to call Terrence the Alsing and say, hey, you said first come, first serve, and then you say not first come, first serve. The monarchy is disappointed in you. And let him back out of the room and press the buzzer and send him money away and them thing. I for monarchy. I don't know how all they feel about it, but I for monarchy. We just have to decide who. Because I don't know who we could get to just people just respect them out the gate. Maybe Abubakar. Maybe like Rodolfo, one of them should be like Prince or the King now. Or what was the youth name who ran he's run for political office? Yeah, maybe forget political office. He's the king from now. He's in charge. And I don't think they go in. If they walk in the imam room and he say disappointed, I feel men go back out and think they ain't go want to, you know what I mean? They will just bow from the neck and curtsy and bust out. We need something like that, boy, to keep politicians in check here. But again, she come and talk about the wessers and zessers and think that was kind of odd, but I mean, nice to hear from her, I suppose. I mean, that is it for until next year, month end. So, the zessers and wessers rise up again. As she say that is within weeks. Because I spy with my little eye on Instagram Live, New Year's morning, a whole party going on. I ain't calling no names, okay? I'm no informer. But a whole party was going on. It looked like a rooftop somewhere, a whole zest. And the zest went unnoticed. I ain't seen nothing about it in the papers. People was going live from it like if it's a normal thing. Nobody was wearing no mask. Everybody having a good time. So, I want to tell you that in No Man's Land in Tobago, Gary Griffith and them jokey, or the whole squad, because, I mean, well, Gary Griffith jokey. No doubt about that. But I don't know if that zest was somewhere where they couldn't access it or what the situation was, but that was on live for a long time. On a few people live, a few popular young people live. And no police in shops. So like the police give up on that. And maybe that was a good thing because I keep telling myself that morning, I said that gonna get busted. And hopefully I will see it on the live too. And nothing ever happened, no story, nothing. And that might be the best thing that ever happened for the police that it didn't raid that small zest. Because within the week, we in a full week into the year yet. And No Man's Land in Tobago had what Paula-Mae Weekes call a wesser. And people had to take their boat. The boatmen and go. The boatmen in Tobago make a $1 glad for them. And they carry people in No Man's Land. And it was a party. You're seeing little photos and things. Nobody going live and things. But you're seeing little photos surfacing. And it seemed as though I was just waiting to hear it. But as a matter of fact, when I saw it and I see boats there in the picture, I thought that was Coast Guard boats. So I tell myself, well, all right, we're good to go. Coast Guard come and bust the thing. And some wessers gonna get arrested because now it's not Bayside or Bayshore and it's nobody private pool. It's not valsing and no private wedding with Gary Griffith. Because Gary Griffith keeps saying when it's private property, there's very little that they could do and they can't just go on a private property and arrest people and things. So I say, all right, cool, you know what I mean? The private property, only raid down in Freeport and thing, but that I suppose that a private public thing is selling tickets, this, that. But this West was in No Man's Land and it was $300 a ticket apparently, plus $50 a person to go over from the boat to go over there. If you didn't have a private boat, because it looked like some people had their boats and they went there for themselves. The boat was for the lesser of the wessers was paying people to carry them on the dinghy. But the besser of the wessers had their own boat and fete swinging like normal. So I say, well, all right, action time because the wessers come out in public, they make her out. When they was on private property and thing, they could get away with that. I mean, they make her out. So wessers going to be face down on the ground, going down in jail, looking drunk on the floor, pictures all over. I just waiting to see it. I waiting to see who is who in Mako mode. Only for Guy Griffith to come out and say that there's very little that the police could have done because of the venue chosen. Boy, listen, it's sweet enough. The man said, no, I think this is public now. I started studying now. I wonder if No Man's Land is private property to own. I said, but what kind of money these Westers have? They only own No Man's Land. But he say it's a beach. He says so on a beach, it have no way to tell. This is what the man say in real life. He say on a beach, it have no way to tell if it's 1,000 people who gather in 10 at a time. So if it's 10 people who come together and they happen to have several other 10 people there to add up to 1,000 people. This is what the man said, you know. He said the police could do very little. And I think to myself, this is the same Gary Griffith who was guns out on the beach a couple of weeks ago. This is not years ago, it's a couple of weeks ago. Guns out on Maracas. So you remember that? When they was walking down. Now, they didn't arrest nobody, in fairness to them, but Oli was there. So I would think that if Oli there and it's public property and you could ask a question, you could go there and say, excuse, who you come with? Because the man say gathering in public and them thing against the law. In private, he can't stop it. So he could literally, as a policeman, ask you, who you come with? I could say, well, I just come with my family. It's just 4 of us. He said, well, let me see some identification to show is your family now. Bap, check. You're gone. But while Oli was on the beach, in boots something like combat mode, guns out, automatic weapons on the beach, Maracas. No police couldn't reach no man's land to even ask a question. So it's hard for you to tell, but you didn't attempt to tell at all because me see no police in the pictures. I see the videos swinging, nothing. And your response, better you didn't respond and say nothing. Better you just didn't say nothing. Because it's like, dude, and then the police in Tobago give me a kind of half statement like, hear what I'm saying. I ain't making nothing up and I buying it, I'm selling it just so I buy it. I ain't adding nothing. The police say, who responsible for no man's land area? They say, well, they went where the boats usually, I want to say take off, and whatever you call it, the boats leaving from there to go no man's land. And it looks scarce. Nothing wasn't really happening. So them head out. Well, the party was done in no man's land already, so it looked scarce. So they just went back in the station and sleep. Nobody didn't say, well, all right, let me see if we could pay $50. I surely could have get reimbursed for that, man. You can't walk and go no man's land, all right, cool. Come out of the car, pay $50 a man and go over there and bust the little West. But nobody decided that is not a problem. Back in the station. The Coast Guard now say, well, nobody never called them. So them didn't even know that was happening. I think, boy, listen. I don't know, boy. Anything goes here. Anything goes here. And then again, the same people, because like I say in the beginning, you see familiarity because it's a private-ish. There's plenty of people there, but it's a small circle. Let me not say private. It's a small circle of people who know one another and same complexion and everybody looking kind of like the same and a lot of family and that kind of thing. Nobody feel they're at risk when they go in situations like those. No doubt that have a lot of people there who don't believe in COVID. Let me put it that way. They don't think it was spread. They don't think it that serious. It's just like the flu. You know, the people who say that kind of thing. They're doing what they feel to do. And they know they could do it within or outside of the law. It don't matter because nothing can happen to them. But then when they look on Facebook now and they see the squad on the rooftop, like who was talking about, and they see that on Instagram Live, it's themselves that be vexed and talking about who irresponsible and who dotish and zessers and wessers. And then themselves go and knock glass with the people who are in charge and things. But that's just this country. It's one of the sweetest things I see. I tell myself Gary Griffith just not going and say nothing, but he cannot say nothing. He can't play all fours. Gary Griffith cannot play all fours. Because he go talk all the whole game. But listen, there was one for talking right through. He go talk all the whole game. Because he can't just keep quiet and just go along what he doing with. And you know, the thing is, them fellas do a nice little thing. It was halfway funny. Where he come and play like Blaze was doing the diplomatic talking for him while he was talking, playing. The thing was halfway funny. You know what I mean? And he's starting to get in good graces. I understand he have a real high approval rating and all that, but I mean, come on. And better you just come out and say, boy, it has some people in this country we can't do nothing. Better you come out and say that. Or you say, it has some people when we do them thing, we just end up in more problems. When we try to arrest them, it's more problems for we. So we don't even bother. Like we arrest who we could arrest. We go buy that more. Like I say, when you have money in this country, you're good. So some people, as you saw in money, some people, again, bossy in the bank. Now, I don't know what the banks... Now, the thing about it is that when you have money in the bank, I suppose the money insured and all these things. So it's not... When you have a little small deposit like me and plenty more debts than you have assets, it shouldn't really matter to me so much that they break in a bank. I want them to teach all my mortgage documents. I wonder if I could organize with them teeth to do that, but with the bank, I remember how much I have for them and thing. But anyway... According to The Guardian, police are investigating a $1 million robbery from an ATM machine belonging to RBC Bank, which occurred over the weekend. According to police report, about 9 a.m. on Sunday, January 3rd, 2021, a manager of RBC confirmed receiving a report from the electronic response officer of unusual activity at an ATM at one of their branches. Upon arrival at the scene, at about 10 a.m., she reportedly opened the ATM room and observed two machines cut open and cash trays on the floor. Estimated $1.3 million of cash in TNT currency is missing. Now, I'm not sure what is seen with the banks, right? Because this is a recurring decimal. This happened before in Cunupia. It happened before at the First Citizens branch in Chaguanas. My memory ain't so good, but I think Republic Bank on Arpita Avenue, it happened before. And all of these stories seem to be about the same. All these stories is like they cut open. What are they building the bank with? Like red blocks? What was he seeing? Why is it so easy to cut open at ATM? Like people just rolling with some money. And I'm not sure if people get away with those things, because I am not sure if the bank bills are marked and they could find that. But I mean, knowing here, it's probably not going to happen. Cash could move in this economy, you know what I mean? But I'm not sure what was all the plan when all they billing the bank. What's the situation? The vault, these things secure? And if I remember right, I'm pretty sure the one in First Citizens in Chaguanas was a vault. Like they cut through the back of the building. It's like some stuff that, like TV thing is the best way I could describe it. I don't know what is happening to that, but I hope they get that together. And I just really bring that up because I'm hoping that the next person who plans to cut open the bank, if the ATM and the vault so insecure, the file room can't be so hard to access. Do you remember in Narcos how Pablo Escobar burned up the whole Ministry of Justice so that they can't find the case? We're going to go and burn up the bank, and that might be kind of irresponsible to call for people to go there. But if all they happen to be going in, right, I'll send all my information so that they could just pick up my documents on the way out and let the bank start back from scratch and let it be like I ain't knowing them nothing. Well, so but we had to get to carnival. That's what really breaks in, to be honest with you. Because as this new year turned, I enjoy my Christmas. I gain a couple little parang. It was nice. I really enjoyed the little music because whole year we didn't really play music. It was nice to play something and come together. But the reality that we have no carnival is hitting me very hard right now. Kes had a show, and I tried to avoid watching the Kes show. I didn't want to see too much because I know what's happened to me when January come in. Like the other day, I driving up the road with Stacy, and she say, "You want to get $1,000 ticket?" I say it have a fete. I went into fete mode. That is normally the conversation we have in January. You know, she talking because I have on my mask, and so we driving in car with no mask. I saw her like I depressed. I can't believe that we really, and I understand that we don't have it, right? So, all right. All the people who know everything about COVID, right? We can't no carnival, all right? Great, all they celebrate. And who hate carnival, all they celebrate. And let me just be sad. But I'm sad. Because the first day in January, when it's ticket time and organizing driver and this and that, and we're looking at all now we're asking man for a fete calendar to see which fetes we go in, and them thing is nothing. And let me salute all soca artists, right? Because I was worried that soca not going to come out. Like if I was a soca artist, and I mean, I would say something totally different if I was actually a soca artist, but in my mind, I would be hesitant to invest in a song that I can perform and can promote and them kind of things, and nobody can fit. I don't know how it's work in terms of making back your money and things, but I would be hesitant. But I suppose now a part of what you have to do is stay relevant this year, because you know how unforgiving we are as a people in this country. If you have no song and you have no hit, nobody don't want to hear you ever in life again. And I guess based on that, you want to release a song to stay current. And salute to Farmer Nappy, who's always come straight and always come with something nice. People could take a little groove, that little backyard jam. It bad. Dev has something nice. A diggy, dang, diggy, a diggy. Dev has something nice. Who else has some good boy? Bungie sing a song about carnival and anything that's too nostalgic and I can't listen to it for too long. So I really didn't listen to it, but I will do some song reviews and things from next week when I listen. But I want to let you understand the pain it is for me to listen to soca this year. The only reason I listen to soca is because of this podcast. Because when I started listening to soca, I was going soca mode. I want to go a fete every weekend. And the fete promoters doing, I mean, salute to them too. They're doing a little thing. I see Soca in Mocha have a little ticket and I'm trying to figure out how it go work. Because I'm feeling like the virtual fete thing will get me more depressed than I done depressed already. And it's sad to say I might be sounding like I'm knocking my own culture, but you know I love it. But I'd rather sit down and watch the verses and I'd rather sit down and watch them Yankee and thing perform than stay home and watch Soca. But it's hard. I don't know what to... Because, I mean, it's not like if you could have a lime home and watch the thing, because having a lime defeats any purpose or the separation that we're supposed to be creating. So, irresponsible me, the devil on my shoulder, saying, call everybody who are accustomed going fete with, and we go put on the fete loud on the TV home here by me, and fete hard. But then again, I'm frightened. I don't want to be a super spreader. I don't want to be they talk about that bus in Barbados that caused, they say that our bus crawl and everybody come and get sick. I don't want to be that guy. But I'm not sure. I wonder how people feeling out there about the virtual fete situation, especially the ones I had to pay for, because I suppose Kes do a thing is a charity thing you could give and so on. If it contributes, I suppose is the word. And at the same time, Kes was going on, I want KMC had a thing and you could just jump on Instagram Live and see that for free. But I'm not sure what fete promoters offering. Like, what's the value? What you're selling me really when I pay for a ticket to watch an online performance? I find what you're selling me is a bunch of sadness and a bunch of reality of the times we're in. But I don't know. I'll see how it goes. Maybe people will pay. I hope I could get some reviews from people who pay, and when I'm paying, I could tell that up front. And I saw, like, quite by coincidence, I saw that Fatima had their weekend of fetes, like live performances and them things. And no, I just stray a little bit. I had to tell you how I hear the story. I have a class going on right now, a master's class, and Wendell Constantine in my class. So nobody can tell me nothing. I talk to Wendell Constantine directly, at least for 4 or 5 classes. So they're shitting in tall grass, as the people would say. Nobody can, don't say words to me when you see me. I talk to Wendell Constantine, so slow down. But he's the one who told me that Fatima had their live stream over the weekend on YouTube for free. You could have just take it in. Now I find that was a little awkward. And let me get some more boys, Gypsy and them in the NCC, right? My honest opinion is that having somebody like Gypsy at the head of the National Carnival Commission is a positive thing. Because he in it, he know it, he benefit from it, he's a part of the industry from a business standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, as a creator. And he's a politician as well. So it's like the best of both worlds when you have somebody like Gypsy. If I was a cultural ambassador, soca man, a fete promoter, I would feel like I have somebody who in my corner at the helm of the Carnival Commission. But in the summary of that article I saw, where they had Gypsy and again Colin Lucas, two legends in soca music. And the thing about it is both of them is legends in soca and in business. Colin Lucas is a legend when it comes to the business side of it, because he have the culture in running now, running his own hotel. He had his own band. He was head of the port. Legend in business, legend in soca. I tell people all the time who want to be Colin Lucas doubters. I don't know why it would have any of that. But when you're in Jamaica, you cannot have no fete and don't play dollar wine. Soca don't really play in hardcore dancehall parties, so what dollar wine display. And one of the greatest soca they ever had. Legendary. And I mean, Gypsy's the same thing. Gypsy's a legend in calypso, a legend in soca, a legend in, Gypsy, calypsos speak for themselves, right? As much as I like to make joke and sing, Captain the Ship is Sinking, one of the greatest calypsos ever written. When it comes to the soca, remember when Maximus had sing, everybody getting down on the soca train. Just go back and listen to the Gypsy original in that express. Oh Lord, non-stop. Oh gosh, I want legendary and sing rambam, re bamba dam, diggy dang diggy digging dang dang dang. I don't know what to do again. Like they want to drive me insane. What's the formula to win a crown down in Port of Spain? Every year singing good song. I singing a powerful song. Not for hell they wouldn't give me the calypso crown. Oh yes. When my good partner tell me, "Here what you doing wrong, Gypsy? You have too much lyrics in your melody. And everybody love your tune, and they know that you could croon. Sing this song, and you know that you can't go wrong. What? Sing Rambam, Ray Bambadama. I know my quattro, that's why I play. I can't find my quattro. But legendary. A man who went in Skinner Park, sing a song, get toilet paper and pelt, and the next year come back and sing a song, name toilet paper, about toilet paper, and have Skinner Park rocking. So legends, when you see men like them at the head of NCC, you have to tip your hat and salute to that. Two of them, men like them, it's almost like giving back to our culture that they create. So I was boy, listen, disappointed is not the word. I feel like I'm almost heartbroken when I see that press conference and I see, number one, see Gypsy attitude, like he upset to be there and talking down to people like, if you know what I mean, like, why am I here? Obviously, we can't have a carnival and this is not the thing. And COVID, people have to get real with the reality of what we're facing, and people can't just be studying party. I'm thinking, but what? You saying that? I didn't want to just say benefit from the culture and saying you create the culture, you use a creator of carnival culture. And you saying that? And you know what's so funny about it, Dred? When I thought about why NCC, my first thought when they say cancel carnival, coincidentally was, well, what's stopping us from having something like an extempo competition? It's so easy to do. Your distance, it's no crowd, is something people were taking at home. Most of the people who watch extempo is done watch it on TV already. It done happen that way. So funny that the first thing that come to my mind was extempo, and then the man in charge of the thing is the king of extempo, undisputed, and he just say, but the summary statement and the whole thing for me was that a virtual carnival is an oxymoron. That is what I take from that article more than anything. Gypsy basically say a virtual carnival is an oxymoron. It don't make sense. The two things cannot go together, if you know what oxymoron is. And I think to myself, but how come you can't think of ways to make a virtual carnival beneficial for yourself, number one, as a businessman, the culture, number two, as a cultural ambassador, part of the culture, creator of the culture, the man responsible for a big part of the culture as the man at the head of NCC. And then for the fans, who would be responsible for making you who you are? Who would contribute to you becoming the legend that you are? Why we treating carnival? I don't know why carnival is such a polarizing issue in this country still. So the people who anti-carnival for whatever reason, glad and celebrating, look at all they can't think without a carnival. How come our culture, like that part, that carnival thing, how are we still at a stage where that's so polarizing is beyond me. Why is that such a big thing? It's like any other thing. If you don't like something, just don't like it, and you could don't like something quietly without talking about it at all. How come everybody have to have such a big opinion on carnival? Beyond that, how come we still in 2000 and what were you in? Can't remember. We still seeing carnival as just one big fete. Nobody seems to want to take this step to respect it and see it as the industry that it is. Nobody seems to want to do what it takes to build it as an industry and to treat it with the respect as an industry. Nobody don't even seem to respect that whether it make money as an industry, is part of us or whatever. It is part of our culture and it should be preserved because it's who we are. And regardless of what happening around us, we should make sure that it is well archived, documented, and preserved. And again, when I see somebody who's responsible, who's a part of the creation of the culture, could simply say a virtual carnival is an oxymoron, it making me wonder if he know how carnival start. Carnival start off illegal, in case Gypsy forget. And I know he know it plenty better than me. Carnival wasn't legal when it started off. Carnival was people breaking the rules, taking a break, running away, celebrating something. So it wasn't something that nobody never grant a carnival to we. So as far as I'm concerned, nobody can take it away. But that's the next point. It's like the king, the boss, the king of extempo. Even if it's for your own part of your favorite part of carnival, the part you master, you couldn't spend 5 minutes to think about how we could do an extempo competition. These is your brothers and your sisters, Abebele and Lingo, Brong Boy and Hezekiah, God rest his soul, Brong Boy. You know what I mean? You can't think of nobody Lady Africa. You can't think of how you could put together something for a man like Black Sage, who might be making as much money as they usually make because of this pandemic already. You couldn't spend 5 minutes to try to figure out how the men could make some money, boy. Or how we as the fans of the thing could benefit from having some version, something to forget the money and all that. Study something to take we mind off it. Just forget this thing with man making money and people losing their job and people getting sick and people can't gather. And when I go and see my mother, I have to have on a mask and I can't see her face. You can spend 5 minutes to say, well, all right, let me bring some joy to people. Your first response is, well, private people who studying to make money, them have to think the NCC. You just pull yourself out, so it have no carnival, NCC not doing nothing for the kid. That is it. There's a wrap. Well, if that is the case, I really want to know what they're doing with the subvention, whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called, whatever money is supposed to go to NCC. I'm making it my business to find out what's supposed to happen with that money. Because that I can't believe that Gypsy, you ain't even say, well, all right. It don't have 1,000 bands in this country. If I say, all right, I will go to 5 large, 5 medium, and 5 small. It don't have 1,000 Calypsonian who's entered Skinner Park and Calypso Monarch. If I go to the top 5 and I say, here, what's going on? You see 5 all here, and 5 in each of the size of bands, and 5 pan side. I want to put together the Marsh Gras virtually. At the Marsh Gras, the pinnacle of the carnival. Do you see how it's a Queen Elizabeth and them? We are queens and we are kings here too. We can't put on something where we could go to these people. It's not going to cost you the millions of dollars that NCC get to say, here what's going on. Minshall, what my boy name again? I always forget that man name, or Ronnie and them who winning every year. Here what we were here to come up with. Come up with a king and a queen for we and a section leader. You know what I mean? We know you can't make no money off it, but let us know what our budget might look like for you to come up with something like this. Because we want to do this virtually. I see Fatima. I'd look like Fatima build a stage. Which part they would have a stage anyway? In fact, I don't know why they do that. But they do that and they use that to show on YouTube on a live stream. So we don't even have to go on the Savannah stage. We could use somewhere that's more suitable for a live stream, or rather than do a whole big public production. And get a king and a queen and an extempo competition and a calypso competition and a young kings. We can't do that, boy. Gypsy, the man who created the king of this, the mecca, the boss when it comes to extempo, boss when it comes to calypso and soca and thing, boss when it comes to business, boss when it comes to politics. Don't mind your loss. You couldn't come up with nothing. What you come up with is a statement that basically saying, all in all, you won't figure it out. We have nothing to do with this. We can't make no money from it. And it's just like I was talking about with the borders, because I firmly believe that we as Trinidadian people, if we can't figure out how to benefit from it directly, individually, not as NCC, but as the people themselves, as an individual, what am I going to do? Put on this whole thing and I ain't seen a way where I could make money off it. Forget that. It was unbelievable to me. And for somebody who is in the culture, a creator of the culture, to just say, it's almost like it's not an industry no more. When you was there, it was an industry because you was in the tent every night. You was in fete every night singing. You're doing corporate gigs. You're doing this, you're doing that. You're entering competition. You're winning competition and beating people. It was important then. But now you secure. Your money running. You don't need it anyway. You good in life. You ain't bong for that. All these businessmen, all the money running regardless of if it a carnival, it a no carnival, it a nothing. So coincidentally, the businesses that as I talk about Colin Lucas and Gypsy, at least that's who I saw in the press conference. I still don't know what was Colin Lucas' role, but I just see him in the shot. But none of the businesses that you're in, from what I know, is businesses directly benefiting from Carnival. I suppose if you have a hotel, it would be. But it reeks of that kind of thing for me. Like, I am bong for it. Is my time for that pass? Or let's settle down. It's have a pandemic. Stay home. So I want to salute some people who are creators of the culture and in the culture, who doing things to make a difference. So as much as I think in Soca and Mocha, and I ain't sure about the paying for a virtual fete and all that, salute them fellas. I mean, Dexter is the PRO. I know he's part of Kyrie people as well, and I'm hoping, I don't know what Kyrie people plan to do. Hopefully, whatever they do in no man's land, so I can head across them. But if not, I salute them for making an effort to put something out, put out a production. Salute all the artists who bring songs. Like I always say, when Carnival nice when Benjai have a song. And boy, I come and I hear Benjai sing a little thing, I start to feel sad in my heart immediately. I was glad to see Blacks looking like he on the mend. Blacks come out and perform his song. Blacks looking like he coming out, he looking good, he lost some weight and thing, he recovering. Ding Dong have a bad song. Ding Dong like that man in the groove. Now all of a sudden Ding Dong have a little song every year. Ding Dong say you horning first, his song bad. So I appreciate that an artist could go ahead, release a song, and I with a certain amount of uncertainty in terms of the money they will make compared to other years. But I appreciate that. I appreciate Fatima for what they did. But most of all, some people making some moves. Like I see Kes has done a few things, and I understand he's one of the people behind Tego, where we see these live, what do you want to call them, concerts or whatever they are, streams. That happening. So I salute him and I'm glad that happened. I saw Fair and Lions promoting a platform called Trending. I'm making a guess. I feel Trending gonna go down the road of where Swiss Beats and Timbaland went and do something like that, where we could celebrate some legends, see some performances, release their own music, wherever it might be. I'm hoping we see something like that at least. You know what I mean? And also Iowa George has been doing Iowa State since the pandemic started. Now Iowa is a man. It is very much Iowa. If you ever see an Iowa Soca Monarch performance, when Iowa comes to perform a Soca Monarch, the stage could be big like the Savannah. Iowa coming by himself. Iowa ain't coming with no set of props, no dancers, no set of nothing. Iowa keeping all that money for his second place. Iowa must be profiting more than the man who come first place and spend all that money to put on a show. Well, just so Iowa stream is, it's not a lot of frills and drills. It's not a lot happening on the stream. But what it have is consistency. Every night you go on, he featuring different artists, all kind of different genres too. And he make anything bubble, at least something that people could take your mind off all this one, just taking something. So I salute everybody who doing that. And I committed now. I'm going to listen to the Soca and do some reviews and do some of my favorite picks and them things. I had planned to do that in all honesty when I started the podcast. That was a big part of what I wanted to do, to get into the music of the year. But I didn't know that we would have still be here. I really didn't. I think we would have been having a cancelled carnival. But here we are. So I'll do it and just keep the virtual space for it. So I'm glad that everybody doing their part and putting it out there. That's a big plus. At least we have something to talk about. Now, before I go, I had to go back to the crown. For all the monarchy haters like myself and thing, and people who, everybody on the gram or on Facebook talking about, they don't know why these people watching the crown and these slave owners. It's true, all you're right. But all you need to take in something in the crown. In season 4, episode 5, the name of the episode is Fagin. You need to go and check out that episode. That was when Margaret Thatcher was in power. But a fellow named, I believe is Michael Fagan, a legend. The man basically break into Buckingham Palace twice. And I guess he went the first time. He kind of walk around. He reached as far as the Queen bedroom, but she wasn't home. And he make her wrongs, but I think they catch him. Somebody see him and they raise an alarm and he run out and find his way out. Imagine that. That's really a different time, yes? Just to get an idea of the year, that is in 1982. So I guess security and thing is not what it is today, because I don't see how you're breaking in any kind of place where somebody in charge in. It could be the smallest person in charge. It's hard to break in an office. Well, in Trinidad, you could break in the bank and so on. Maybe it's Michael Fagan who break in the Republic Bank, RBC. But he break in Buckingham Palace, walk around, drink a bottle of wine, and then they raise alarm, and he managed to get out. When you look at how big Buckingham Palace is, you're wondering how he passed, where he run. They have guards marching up and down the whole day, but I guess that is for sure back then and now. And then the man make a wrongs and come back like the next day when the Queen was home. This is a real story. I mean, the show do a lot of wrong, this story, but it's a real thing that was reported that he break into Buckingham Palace. And the second time, the man ended up in the Queen bedroom. Sounds surreal. And he cut his hand on the window, and they say it had blood on the Queen bed and all that. And he talked to the Queen now. I have a little, when I hear them kind of story, I say, but there's the kind of thing I just say, well, if you catch me on one to let you break in and thing on the blood on the bed and to me, he's confessing nothing. So, you know what I mean? It's something like that kind of story. But the reason I bring it up is because it has some roots for here, because the man break a vase that was given to him by Burnham from Guyana. I never knew that. I know about the story about Fagan, but I never knew that he had broken a vase that was given to her, given to the Queen. I think it was on her birthday or on her anniversary of her coronation or something like that. He gave her a vase with 3 rivers representing the Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo. I guess it's just a little trivia, but that's something else to me. So, and they talk about Guyana in the episode too. I feel proud as a Guyanese, my damn self. I feel so proud. But what I want to get to is Calypso. You know, you're not going to get back there, right? So if people didn't know, with the Sparrow of a song that I'll play for you, where Sparrow sing a man in my bedroom. A man in my bedroom. He came on the bed, doo-doo, and I took him for you. He big just like you, but stronger. He lingy like you, but longer. He tough just like you, but... You know the song? That song was about that. So for him to... that's why Calypsonians legends to me as Gypsy. Calypsonians legends to me when they could come up with something like that. Is crazy. And just remember, like the first line in that song was, Philip, my dear. And it's Prince Philip he talking about. So I was so glad to see that come up. So I'm going to play this song with you and I'll leave you with that for this episode. Taking Philip, my dear, is Sparrow.
Philip, my dear, last night I thought was you in here. Where did you go? Working for good old England, missing out all the action. My dear, do you know? There was a man in my bedroom, wearing your shoe, trying on the royal costume, dipping in the royal perfume. I'm telling you true. There was a man in my bedroom, anxious for a rendezvous, and I thought it was you. He big just like you, but younger. He thick just like you, but stronger. He lingy like you, but harder. He lily like you, but badder. A man in my bedroom, he came on the bed to do, and I took him for you. The palace guard were playing hopscotch in the yard, abandoned the throne. Being with this perfect stranger, the jewel was in danger, for I was alone with a man in my bedroom, loaded with brew. Yes, this malodorous urchin on top of my bed was perching like a cockatoo. A man in my sorry, dear, I misconstrued when I took him for you. He big just like you, but younger. He thick just like you, but stronger. He lingy like you, but harder. He lily like you, but badder. A man in my bedroom, he came on the bed to do, and I took him for you. in Buckingham. No one respond to the alarm, so this plunderer displayed inside me boudoir, a tool made for agriculture. I stood there in awe with a man in my bedroom, 7 feet or more. He told me come hither and foil, and all my good linen he soiled. He was so obscene. There was a man in my bedroom, so nasty and mean, singing to me, God go save the Queen. He big just like you but younger. He thick just like you but stronger. He lingy like you but harder. He lily like you but harder. A man in my bedroom, he came on the bed to do, and I took him for you. Evidently, I've suffered great indignity from this commoner. Instead of being free in London, he should be put in a dungeon under the tower. There was a man in my bedroom enjoying the view. This vicious, immoral scoundrel, son of a common mongrel, steered me through and through. There was a man in my bedroom. Your input was overdue, and I thought it was you. He big just like you, but younger. He thick just like you, but stronger. He lingy like you, but harder. He lily like you, but harder. There was a man in my bedroom. He came on the bed to do, and I took him for you.
Genius. So I urge anybody, if you didn't know this song and you don't know this story, go back to The Crown season 4, episode 5. The name of the episode is Fig. And go and watch that, and then go on YouTube and listen to the song again, or come back to this podcast, check out the song again. Genius in writing. And I think, no, Sparrow come up with this theory before me, but if I hear some man in your bedroom and all that thing, and the man comes to, and it's the whole story on Crown wasn't really they say that the true story was that he broke in and stuff, and he did get in the Queen's bedroom somehow, and they had a short conversation, and she left. She say, "I'm coming back now." And she sent the guards and thing, but of course they make it better for storytelling in The Crown, but take it in and take in Sparrow and understand the genius and why I love Calypso. But until next week, check out on Friday a conversation with Nick Dean about financial well-being, another person who I had in gratefully who going to come on and give us some pointers on how to get better at that. So if you like me, check out Friday. See you guys next week.